It's no wonder that receiving a life sentence can evoke a range of emotions from shock and disbelief to anger and despair. In this video, we'll explore 5 of the most shocking reactions to receiving life sentences, from unexpected displays of remorse to violent outbursts and everything in between. So buckle up and get ready for some jaw-dropping moments that will leave you speechless. This is Ronnie O'Neal, 30 minutes before he was sentenced to 3 life terms. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office received this 911 call at 11:43 p.m.
911, what's the address of your emergency? What's going on? I think I got gunshots fired at 4365 Rose Garden. I think I just heard 3 shots. Possible warrant at the address. Hello? Okay. Hello?
Ronnie killed his daughter, Renuevo, with an axe after receiving the call. Then he stabbed his son, critically injuring him. Ronnie didn't leave it there. He then set fire to their house, intending to burn everyone and everything inside. On the other hand, his son escaped the house with stab wounds and severe burns. Ronnie's son testified against him during the trial after Ronnie chose to represent himself.
And how did I hurt you?
You stabbed me.
I did kill Kenyatta Band. You will see who is the mass murderer.
This created an unusual situation in which the father was cross-examining his own son. Ronnie O'Neal's reaction was unsettling as the trial ended and he was sentenced to 3 life sentences.
I am not sorry for something I didn't do, and I am not sorry for the things I did do.
There is no way any person with any feeling could have witnessed or seen the photos of what occurred that night and not be haunted for the rest of your life. Shootings, stabbings, drownings, suffocatings, blown apart by cars and DUI manslaughter cases, horrible things. This is the worst case I have ever seen as far as the facts go.
We can all sleep a little easier now that Ronnie will be in prison for at least the next 75 years. When defending himself, Ronnie indeed appeared and sounded a little insane as all the evidence stacked up against him, including his own son. This is Lewis Matthews, who is about to receive a life sentence in prison. On the morning of April 13, 2019, he went to his girlfriend's house where her daughter was sleeping upstairs at the time. He crept into the 10-year-old daughter's room and inexcusably began molesting her. Hearing her child's screams, his girlfriend awoke and went to investigate the commotion. She was horrified by what she discovered and dialed 911 immediately. But Lewis wasn't finished yet. While she was on the phone, he took the girl, drove to a nearby gas station, purchased bleach, and proceeded to pour the bleach over the poor little girl in an attempt to remove any DNA evidence. Fortunately, Lewis's sick plan did not work. When he was convicted, the judge sentenced him to life in prison. It was difficult to believe his reaction. Take note of his casual demeanor. He can even be seen laughing and shaking hands with his attorney. That's an unusual reaction. This is Michael Davis just minutes before he was sentenced to life in prison in Lake County Common Pleas Court for what appeared to be a minor traffic accident, but turned out to be far more serious. According to police, Michael Davis drove his car into oncoming traffic on July 4, 2017. In doing so, he killed Gregory Morawski instantly and severely injured Morawski's fiancée. According to police, Davis drove his car directly into oncoming traffic, which the prosecutor described as a missile.
The defendant drove his car like a missile, killed Greg, hurt Heather Call real bad.
Officers quickly discovered that this was no ordinary traffic accident, but rather a deliberate attempt by Michael Davis to end his life with no regard for who else might be harmed in the process. While it was clear that Michael Davis had no regard for who he may have hurt at the time, due to a long history of mental illness, his guilt and remorse had clearly settled in by the time the judge was ready to hand down a life sentence with no chance of parole for 26 years. Greg Morawski's fiancée, a survivor of the crash, told the court. A sobbing and trembling Michael Davis addressed the victims' families as follows.
He took the life of my best friend, my fiance, and the love of my life with his careless thought process. Greg Borowski had never had a chance to be my husband or a father.
As this statement was made, you could hear Michael's remorse in his voice. A tragic case with a tragic conclusion.
I'm so very sorry that I caused so much pain to everyone. And I just wish that we could now finally, all of us, begin to heal just for a small moment.
Luis Reyes was a young criminal with a fiery temper who refused to go down without a fight. Here we see Reyes just moments before the judge handed down his sentence for the heinous assault and rape of an 89-year-old woman when he was 14 years old. The woman had been beaten and was raped the week before, and her house had been broken into while she was sleeping. A flashlight, some food, and her red Pontiac Sunfire were stolen. 2 children, ages 14 and 15, planned the attack. According to police, Reyes and Carlos Fernandez attacked, raped, and attempted to suffocate the 89-year-old woman in her Palm Terrace Gardens home with her own pillow. Reyes could not avoid the consequences of his actions, as Judge Michael Andrews handed down a harsh 30-year sentence. Luis Reyes' initial reaction indicated that he was not going to take this lightly. Reyes screamed and charged at the bailiffs who were attempting to restrain him. To make matters worse, you can hear Reyes' mother sobbing in the background, knowing that she will most likely spend the rest of her life with her son behind bars.
I'm sorry. She'll never know I'm truly sorry. I really am.
David Moses. In 2010, David Moses and Katila Nash broke into the home of 81-year-old Dorothy Sessions, who was cooking dinner quietly in the kitchen. Dorothy fought back in shock when David attempted to steal items, but David Moses, who was already on probation, was not about to be stopped. He brutally beat the 81-year-old woman, repeatedly striking and kicking her, leaving her in her home unrecognizable and causing irreparable harm to her community, friends, and family. Moses was a criminal with a history of bad behavior, having sexually abused his own sister, a disabled cousin, and several other children while living in community housing. While the trial was going on, Moses showed no remorse, according to the prosecutor, as the defendant appeared bored, amused, and even fell asleep on several occasions. Mr. Moses was sentenced to life in prison by the judge. To the surprise and horror of the prosecution and those present, his reaction was one of humor and zero remorse. While the defense attorney pleaded for parole, the judge, seeing Mr. Moses' reactions in court, denied his plea and confirmed the sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. The prosecutor spoke up.
Frankly put, he's just a dangerous individual, and there's only one place to put him, and that's in the penitentiary for the rest of his life.
Whatever the reaction, it's clear that the impact of a life sentence is profound and long-lasting. Have you enjoyed learning about these shocking reactions? Be sure to subscribe to our channel for more interesting insights and stories. Thanks for watching.